Hey there, Russ here. Welcome back to the shop. Have you noticed? Yeah? Yeah, much wider scene. I got a new camera. My old way of doing videos is now going to be a thing of the past. I bought a new webcam. It's an Anker C200. It's just a little webcam that plugs into the USB, so it's an external camera, basically, that's tethered with a 6-foot cord. And it does a pretty good job, but you got a wider angle if you want it. I could narrow it down, but I just left it that big. And these are things I'm just going to have to play with, see if I can make use of them or not. But I never realized how much I'd like this little camera, comparably. Because, you know, every time I set up a picture, I used to take this monster, put it on this plate here, and attach this whole thing to my tripod right here. It was a pain, and I did that for 5 years. Every single video I've made until this one has been made from Microsoft Surface tablets. I started off with the original one, and it lasted about 6 months into doing videos. Not because I was doing videos, it finally gave up the ghost. And it was not a very good model, I think. But anyway, so now this one is a Surface Pro. And I've had this for over 5 years, I would say. Well, right at 5 years, probably. And it's been okay. But I think that I finally decided, because the price of these things is also unbelievable now compared to when I bought this one even. And the laptops are so much less expensive, and I got a nice wider screen. So all in all, I decided I was just going to go back to using laptops, because I used to use laptops, and I tried a tablet, and I really liked it. So, but actually, I think this is an Android tablet. And this is kind of handy to have around. And this has a cellular hookup. So anywhere I go, if I can't get on the Wi-Fi, I can actually just cellular. It has its own cellular connection that you pay a monthly fee on. So I get Wi-Fi, I get internet wherever I go. And it's an okay, but it is Android. And I don't like to use the Android system unless I have to. I am used to being a Windows person. So Windows all the way is all I can say. Anyway, so now I'm using this new camera. It's going to change things. In fact, just for the record, believe it or not, buying this camera is the first dollars I have spent in order to enable me to be able to do YouTube videos. Now, I'm not talking about supplies to do projects. I'm talking about actually the camera is the first thing I've bought. Because I had the computer already. I've always had a laptop, a portable computer of some kind. And it was the one I was been using. So I thought, why not just film from that? And I did. It was nice and small and capable. And it does. And these have been okay for what I do since I'm just in the shop. I'm not out and about. And the same thing holds true with this camera, because it is tethered to my laptop. And so, right now you're getting the same view, but one of the biggest things I see different now from what it was is I'm going to take now, I used to take this whole big monster here and mount it up on here. Now, all I got to do is mount this dinky little camera. So, it's easy, quick, and it'll probably sit on this thing all the time. And it'll sit back here next to that. But it does create a problem for me. And that is that, again, by using this tablet with the camera, if you remember, all these tablets, the camera is right above the screen. So I'm looking at the camera, but I'm watching myself in the screen. Now the camera is not right exactly in front of there anymore. When I move it over here, you'll see what I'm talking about. My eyes are going to keep drifting over to watch the screen instead of watching the camera. And that just looks bad. So if you would, anybody out there that's a regular viewer, if you see me looking away, just make note of the timetable on that and just give me a quick note telling me to stop doing that. I think I'm probably going to need some help in order to get out of the habit of looking at the screen instead of the camera. So, anyway, small learning curve. I'm sure it's no big deal, but if you catch me, don't be afraid to call me out. I don't mind. So let's take it real quick. I'm going to mount you over here where you really need to be, and you see how quick it is. It doesn't take long at all. So if I just take the cord and I bring it over, and just that quick, now we're on the camera. Yep. Okay. So anyway, I just started to share with you that I got the new camera and what to expect. So when you see me now talking to you because I'm looking at the screen, don't be surprised. I just did it again. Anyway, on to a couple other quick things I want to talk about, and then I'll let you go. I got this thing here now. If you recognize it, this is my cart. Here's the steering wheel, the steering on it. 2 front wheels swivel. It's on a utility cart. Anyway, it's a 6,000 watt, 240 volt inverter that you just plug it into the outlets. And if you remember, I did the outlets on the wall a while back, and I'm going to do a video on it in the next 3 days. So now you're going to see, actually it'll be 2 videos that I'll be doing. Going over how I built it, why I made the decisions I did on it here and there. But I think that it's going to be too much for one video. So I also want to show you how to plug it in and use it, how to plug it in and charge it, and see how simple this whole thing works. So I also have plans for if you're going to do something like this yourself, you might want to do it different than this. But this works quick and easy, and if you just got to get something up and running, everything's on the card. I've rolled it around, and it's real easy. So there are advantages to this, but I want to talk about all that in a separate video. So anyway, I just wanted to give you a quick update that I haven't forgot about that. I've actually used it. I ran the shop for 24 hours. And I watched the consumption and the recharging it. And I'm going to try to put this thing, the whole house on at one time. But with you-know-who and you're running a computer all day, turning the power on and off is not her first choice. So I'll get it worked out, and then we're going to try to run this whole house, see how long I can go on the setup I have, because I think it's actually going to, I think I can go 24 hours on the battery. Means that if I get a power outage, as long as it's on within less than 24 hours, I'll be able to just recharge it after the power comes back on. If not, I'll break out the generator and charge it up while I'm using it. So anyway, we'll get into all that later. The other thing I want to talk about real quick is, I don't know if anybody else wants to talk about it, but I've been thinking about it a lot, because since I've been thinking about how to survive if the power goes out, that's one thing. But now I'm also, because of the way things are going, I have been giving a lot of thought to my home security. I have to tell you, I spend here at my home probably 99% of my time. I don't really go out very often anymore. You-know-who goes out a little more than I do, because she likes to do the shopping and that. And so she does tend to go out more than I do, but we get to a family get-together once in a great while or things like that. But most of the time, I'm always here, and most of the time she is too. So it just got me to thinking about home security also. And by home security, not only security cameras and that sort of thing so you can see them coming, but the question is what happens if you actually are invaded by an intruder? We will probably have to get by for a little while, and it would be unexpected. But I've been thinking about that, and what is the scenario that, as long as I'm here with her, I can step in. But can I step in? Anyway, that whole thought has been coming to me, and I have some ideas about what I think I'm going to start doing that I've never done before, and why I'm thinking the way I am now. Because heaven knows that when I was 25 years old, I always thought that I was indestructible. It turns out I was only invincible and not indestructible, because as I get older, I figured that out. But anyway, I am a lot older now, and I can't handle situations in the same way I would do years ago. So I was just thinking maybe I should talk about some of the ways that I think about having an edge if something does happen, and kind of see what other people are thinking. For example, I always, and this is just so you know, if you guys want to talk about this more in detail, I may talk about it once in a while rather than keeping it in about what I'm doing and what I'm going to do around the house. For example, I always now carry this with me, both here at home and when I'm out and about. Very simply, this is what they call a tactical pen. It's a writing pen. This one happens to be a flashlight and a glass breaker. But that's why it also is a self-defense weapon. If you're holding it correctly, you can do some damage to your attacker. So it's just simple. It's always there within my reach that way. And just things like that. I'll tell you a quick story. Because the attack can not only be just a person attacking us, it could be another situation. About 3 years ago, I was in the house, and out front, all of a sudden I heard a lot of barking and a guy yelling in some way. And I thought, what the heck is that? And I looked out. There was a guy that I've always seen him many times walk by with his dog, walking his dog, a little tiny thing. Anyway, there was a bigger brown dog standing there trying to get to his dog, and he's kicking the dog. His dog's trying to run behind him, and he's trying to yell at the dog and kick him to try to keep him away. So I thought, uh-oh, here's a problem. So I come out the side door, and I'm thinking, I don't have any weapon or anything to fight a dog, because fighting a dog with your bare hands is not recommended. It can be done, but you don't really want to if you can help it. So first thing I did is I saw the trash can. There was a trash can sitting there, 55-gallon size, and with the lid removable. So I just grabbed the lid, went out there and used it as a shield, put it between the dog so he can get his picked up. And I'm holding the dog off with that shield. And lo and behold, the owner shows up and yells at the dog, and the dog turns and starts to come. Well, unfortunately, his other dog, which is even bigger, he's charging and growling like crazy, and he goes flying past that guy, and he's coming right at us. And all I could do is I got that shield, and I held it back down there, and just before he got to us, and I don't know what would have happened once he got there, but he yelled at that dog, and that dog just, and they yelled at him, and they went back in the yard. And then he shut the gate, because normally these dogs are a couple doors down from us, and the gate's shut. So how the first one got out, I don't know. They've been out before. But anyway, that's a classic example of where I had to do something to ward off these attacking animals instead of a human. So the attack could be anything. And this actually happened to me. So anyway, grabbing that trash can was the only thing I had available to me at that moment. So any type of encounter can happen to you from any source. Don't be surprised. So having yourself the ability to somewhat be able to protect yourself is always a good idea. So, like I said, this is one of the ideas. Let me show you another quick one that I did shortly after that episode, because my house and my shop are so close together. As I said, when I came out, I started looking all of a sudden for something to as a weapon, and I grabbed the lid. If I had done this before, I would have had something even better that I could have used if needed, and that was this right here. You'll see right by my door. Let me step over my dog. I now have this flashlight, 4 CD flashlight. These were famous. Cops used to love them back 20 years, 30 years ago. They would make great clubs. And it works, and I keep it here now. So not only is it handy in the shop, but I can open the door and within a second have that in my hand. And that would have been nice to have when I went out to get that, to go after that dog. Anyway, those are 2 examples of what I was talking about. Home safety. What do you do? Any ideas? I'd love to discuss this, but you got to help, because your ideas are what I'm looking for too. And I'll share some of the ideas that I have so you can see that maybe if you hadn't before, think of ways that it'd be nice to be able to do that. So I can go over some of the different things I have put out now since then, so that I know that wherever I'm at, I can always get a little bit of an edge if I need it in a confrontation of any kind. So anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. How long has it been? 15 minutes almost. Wow. So, but I wanted to talk about that and see if you want to talk in depth about it. And if so, I'll bring it up in some of my conversations. In the meantime, stay tuned because the next day or two, I'll be starting that two video series on this thing here. And I think those of you that haven't done something like this, you'll find this isn't hard to do at all, really, as it turns out, because I've never done this before. And this isn't bad. And if you notice lately on these things, how many are coming out and they're starting to talk about using them in blackouts, power outages, and they talk about using this machine or that machine. But actually, as of right now, there is no single machine out there that still will give you a 240 volt output, so you can just straight plug it into your house and backfeed into your house just like you would with a gas generator from some kind of unit like this on the market. Now, Solex is it Solex? Solex, the F3800 unit they're coming out with next spring. That looks like a fairly good unit, but it has its drawbacks, and you got to watch out for those. All those machines, they all have their quirks that make them not really work as well as this thing will. Even if I made a smaller one than this, not a 240, I think building your own is better than buying anything I see out there, because there's a lot of problem with how fast you can charge them back up. You have no real control over that. If you need to fast charge it because you're still using it. And more critical, a lot of these, you can't charge them from AC, like with a generator, while you're using it. You know, that is crazy, because that means that you have to go off power, start up the generator, charge it up, and then plug it back in. It just seems like it could be a real problem trying to do things that way, where it only works until you have to charge it up again. If it was longer than what that thing is designed to go for, like 2 hours or 10 hours or however long, then you got to be offline for several hours to charge it back up. So a lot of these units look good, but I don't think I would use them for a home backup system, because I just don't think you'll get out of it any kind of long-term use if you need to. With the way they work, they do have their quirks, so be careful if you're going to go with a unit. Be very careful. And I will say that Solex F3800, it's a 240 unit, 6,000 watts, so it's not bad. And I thought that would be the first one I saw that would actually fit the bill to be a straight plug and play into a house. But when I found out just recently, today as a matter of fact, that it can't charge from AC and output at the same time, and I thought, why do they do that? So be careful, whatever kind of generator you get, if you're going to buy one for home backup, instead of making it, watch out, because you may get something that is not going to be near as useful as you think it is. Anyway, I have a lot of thoughts about those things. I've learned a lot about those types of things during the process in my mind of how I was going to build this and what I needed and what I needed to know. So I've been working on this thing probably for over a year before I finally got around to building it, to make sure I was comfortable with doing what I want to do and making it what I want, because now I can expand it, I can hook up some new stuff, and I have some other plans. And most of those other units, if something goes wrong or if the battery goes bad, you're out of business, whereas I can fix this thing even on the fly if I need to. So anyway, it's a good start. I feel a lot better having the outages, so all I can say is bring them on now. So I probably won't get an outage, power outage for a couple of years, I figure, now that I've got it. We'll see. Anyway, I want to thank you for coming by. If there's any thoughts about anything that we talked about here today, let me know. I would appreciate it. Don't be afraid to tell me when you catch me looking away from the camera and talking to you. And don't mean like looking at this and tapping and pointing to it. I'm talking about like if I'm just talking and all of a sudden I'm over here and I'm supposed to be talking to you here. Don't be surprised, because I still see that thing out of the corner of my eye, that movement from it, and it keeps wanting to draw me to it. So anyway, so you get a chance to tease me now, make it a little fun. So just let me know. No big deal if you do. I can take it. So anyway, leave your comments and your thoughts. If you like this video, you learned something here, hit that like button. Lets me know I did something right. Most importantly, though, please come back again because I'm nowhere near done. Thanks. I had to turn around and turn it off. But thanks. We'll see you guys again very soon.